Excuses never change your life, only results do. That single truth separates people who stay stuck from those who move forward. Most people convince themselves with reasons that sound good, but when the day ends, they have nothing to show. The hard reality is that no one remembers the excuses. You will only be remembered by the results you create. Ask yourself right now, are you living on reasons or on proof? Are you filling your days with explanations or with progress you can touch and see? The answer to that question decides where your life is heading. This message is not about feeling motivated for a moment. It is about waking up to the fact that excuses give you nothing, while results give you everything. If you are ready to stop hiding behind stories and start building real change, then stay with me, because what follows can reset the way you live. Number 1, accept that excuses comfort you but never change life. Excuses are easy. They come to us without effort. They arrive the moment something feels difficult or uncomfortable. They give us a story that feels safe, a reason that makes us feel less guilty for not doing the work. They comfort us in the short run, but they never bring change. They never improve a situation. They never move a person from where they are to where they want to be. If you want real change in life, you have to understand this truth. Excuses may ease your mind for a moment, but they destroy your future in the long run. Every person who ever achieved something meaningful faced the temptation of excuses. They had reasons to stop. They had reasons to delay. They had reasons to quit. But the difference between those who grew and those who stayed the same was simple. Some accepted excuses and lived in the same spot year after year. Others rejected excuses and focused only on results. If you want to move forward, you cannot serve both. You cannot hold excuses in one hand and expect results in the other. Life forces you to choose, and the choice you make every single day determines the kind of life you live. Excuses bring a false sense of relief. They make you feel that you're not to blame. They tell you the world is unfair, or the timing is not right, or the resources are missing. They create a cushion for your pride. But pride will not pay your bills. Pride will not build your future. Pride will not give your family a better life. Results do that. Progress does that. Growth does that. When you see the reality, you understand that excuses are a trap. They give you short-term comfort, but guarantee long-term regret. Think about your own life. How many times have you promised yourself something and then allowed an excuse to talk you out of it? Maybe it was getting up early to work on your goals. Maybe it was putting aside money instead of spending it. Maybe it was learning a new skill instead of wasting hours in distraction. Each time you gave in to an excuse, you protected your comfort for that day, but you weakened your discipline for the future. That's the dangerous trade-off excuses demand. They ask for your future in exchange for today's comfort. When you accept this truth, you begin to see excuses for what they are. You stop dressing them up as reasons. You stop believing the stories they whisper in your head. You recognize that every excuse has one goal: to keep you exactly where you are. And if you want to change your life, staying where you are cannot be an option. You must decide that results matter more than excuses. You must decide that progress, no matter how small, is worth more than comfort. You must decide that change is non-negotiable. Results demand effort. They demand sacrifice. They demand patience. They do not come quickly, and they do not come without cost. But results give back far more than they ask for. When you produce results, you gain confidence. You gain freedom. You gain choices. You gain respect from yourself and from others. Results open doors that excuses will always keep locked. The people who succeed in life are not the ones who had the easiest path. They are the ones who accepted that excuses would only harm them. They trained themselves to face discomfort head-on. They built the habit of doing the work even when they didn't feel like it. They understood that excuses had no place in a serious life. You need to train yourself the same way. When your mind starts creating excuses, recognize it as weakness. Recognize it as a thief trying to steal your progress. Replace it immediately with action. Don't argue with excuses. Don't debate them. Act before they grow stronger. Think about the simple areas of your daily life. If you promise yourself to exercise, don't wait for motivation. Motivation fades. Action builds discipline. If you say you'll save money, don't wait for a higher income. Start with what you have and build the habit now. If you plan to study or develop a skill, don't wait for free time. Make the time by cutting what is not essential. Every excuse will tell you why it's not possible today. Every result will prove why it was necessary today. Excuses are the language of those who quit before they start. Results are the language of those who keep moving until they arrive. Which language do you want to speak? Which story do you want your life to tell? No one will remember the reasons you gave for not achieving something. They will only see whether you achieved it or not. You cannot stand on excuses. You can only stand on results. A person who lives on excuses will always feel stuck. They wake up every year with the same frustrations. They look back and see no real change. They tell themselves the same stories. I'll start when things calm down. I'll do it when I feel ready. I'll change when I get a chance. But the truth is, life never calms down. Readiness never appears by itself. Chances never show up for those who wait. Results come only to those who stop waiting and start doing. If you want to move from comfort to growth, you need to build a new standard for yourself. The standard must be this: I do not tolerate excuses. Not from others and not from myself. You have to hold yourself to the highest accountability. If you fail, admit it. Don't cover it with a story. If you fall behind, own it. Don't explain it away. Excuses make you weak. Responsibility makes you strong. Many people fear this kind of responsibility because it feels heavy. But what they don't see is that excuses are even heavier. Excuses carry guilt. Excuses carry regret. Excuses carry wasted years. Responsibility carries growth. Responsibility carries strength. Responsibility carries results. If you must carry a weight in life, choose the one that builds you instead of the one that breaks you. Your future depends on how you deal with excuses. If you allow them to stay, they will shape your decisions, and those decisions will shape your destiny. If you remove them, you free yourself to act, and those actions will create your destiny. Excuses do not just stop you from achieving goals. They change who you are. They shape you into someone who settles, someone who gives up, someone who lives beneath their potential. But rejecting excuses shapes you into someone who strives, someone who delivers, someone who rises above circumstances. Excuses will always be available. Life will always provide them. You can point to your background, your situation, your resources, your relationships. You can always find something outside yourself to blame. But the moment you accept responsibility, the moment you say, I will not hide behind excuses anymore, you take control back. You stop giving your power away. You start living as someone who creates their own results. The truth is simple. Excuses never change life. They only delay change. They only create the illusion of relief. If you want a new life, you cannot build it on excuses. You can only build it on results. Every choice you make today is either feeding excuses or feeding results. There is no middle ground. If you choose excuses, you get nothing but regret. If you choose results, you may struggle, you may sweat, you may sacrifice, but you gain progress. And progress is the only real comfort you will ever need. Now imagine a year from now. Imagine looking back at today. Do you want to see another year where excuses robbed you of growth? Or do you want to see proof of change? Proof of discipline, proof of results. That decision is yours. No one else will make it for you. No one else will live with the outcome but you. Accept today that excuses may comfort you for a moment, but they will never change your life. Only results can do that. And the sooner you start building results, the sooner your life begins to change. Number 2, measure your day by progress, not by busy effort. Most people confuse movement with achievement. They fill their days with tasks, errands, and endless activities. And at the end of the day, they feel exhausted but not fulfilled. They believe that being busy is the same as being productive, but it is not. You can spend an entire day in motion and still move no closer to your goals. That is why you must learn to measure your day not by how much effort you spent, but by how much progress you made. Progress is the only true measure of whether your day counted. Progress means you moved forward. Progress means you created something that wasn't there before. Progress means you left the day with something to show for it. It might be a step toward your financial goal, a new skill developed, a project advanced, or a personal weakness improved. No matter how small, progress is evidence that your time mattered. Busy effort, on the other hand, only drains your energy. It keeps you occupied without moving you closer to the life you want. Take a look at your typical day. How much of it is filled with small tasks that make you feel engaged but don't actually change anything important? Checking notifications, running unnecessary errands, repeating unimportant routines, or filling hours with distractions. Those things consume your time and energy, but when the day is over, you cannot point to anything meaningful you accomplished. That is a dangerous habit, because it tricks you into believing you worked hard when, in reality, you achieved very little. The truth is that effort without direction is wasted energy. You can work 12 hours straight and still remain stuck if your energy is placed in the wrong areas. A farmer who plows the same patch of land all day has worked hard, but he hasn't grown new crops. A student who copies notes without understanding them has filled time, but hasn't built knowledge. Effort alone does not guarantee results. What guarantees results is effort applied in the right place, on the right priorities, with a clear outcome in mind. When you measure your day by progress, you raise your standard for yourself. You no longer feel satisfied with just saying you worked hard. You look for proof. Did your effort lead to something you can see? Did it move you closer to your long-term vision? Did it remove an obstacle from your path? Did it strengthen you in a way that prepares you for greater challenges? If the answer is no, then you may have been busy, but you did not truly progress. Think about how this applies to your work. Many people fill their schedules with meetings, calls, and endless email exchanges. At the end of the week, they have little progress to show. Compare that to someone who sets a single clear goal, such as finishing an important project or solving a key problem. They direct their energy toward that one outcome and finish it. One meaningful achievement outweighs dozens of hours of empty busyness. The difference is focus. The difference is clarity. The difference is measuring by results, not by effort. This principle also applies to personal growth. Going to the gym for 2 hours means little if you don't challenge yourself, track your strength, or improve your health. Reading 20 books means little if you don't apply a single lesson. Spending hours with people means little if those conversations don't bring depth, connection, or understanding. Progress is what makes experiences valuable. Without progress, you only collect hours that vanish without impact. Measuring your day by progress also changes how you see time. You realize that 1 hour of focused action can be worth more than 10 hours of scattered activity. You see that working on what truly matters for a short, disciplined period produces more growth than dragging yourself through a long, unfocused day. This shift in thinking gives you freedom because you no longer feel pressure to fill your schedule. You feel pressure to create impact. The most successful people live by this rule. They don't ask, how long did I work today? They ask, what did I accomplish today? They don't celebrate effort for effort's sake. They celebrate results. That is why they keep growing, while others stay stuck in cycles of busyness. If you want to join them, you must demand the same from yourself. How can you apply this in your daily life? Begin by setting clear outcomes before your day starts. Decide what progress would look like today. Maybe it's finishing a chapter of a book you're writing. Maybe it's saving a specific amount of money. Maybe it's having a serious conversation that improves a relationship. When you define progress, you know what to aim for. At the end of the day, you can evaluate honestly. Did I do it or not? That clarity removes the illusion of busyness. Another way is to track your achievements, not just your activities. Write down what you actually accomplished each day. If you see only lists of tasks completed but no meaningful results, you know you must adjust your focus. Tracking your progress keeps you honest. It prevents you from hiding behind the excuse of being busy. Also, learn to say no to activities that do not serve your priorities. Many people waste hours on things that look urgent but are not important. They chase distractions disguised as responsibilities. But every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that matters. If you want progress, you must protect your time fiercely. Cut the noise. Concentrate on what moves you forward. This way of living will challenge you. It will make you uncomfortable at first, because busyness is easier. Busyness feels productive even when it's not. Progress, however, requires discipline. It forces you to ask hard questions about your choices. It pushes you to focus when others are drifting. But the discomfort is worth it, because progress transforms your life in ways busyness never will. When you begin measuring your days by progress, you will notice changes quickly. You'll end each day with a sense of satisfaction, because you know you moved forward. You'll stop feeling overwhelmed by endless tasks, because you'll only commit to those that matter. You'll start building momentum, because progress fuels motivation. Every result you create gives you proof that change is happening. That proof builds confidence, and that confidence pushes you toward greater results. A year of busyness will leave you tired and frustrated. A year of progress will leave you transformed. The difference comes down to what you choose to measure. If you measure only effort, you risk fooling yourself into thinking you're achieving when you're only circling the same ground. If you measure progress, you face reality, and reality will push you to grow. Every day you are given the same 24 hours. Some will use them to stay occupied. Others will use them to move forward. At the end of the year, the difference will be obvious. One will have a list of excuses for why nothing changed. The other will have proof of results. Which one do you want to be? So from this moment on, stop counting how busy you were. Stop taking pride in exhaustion without accomplishment. Start measuring your days by the progress you make. Hold yourself accountable for real change, not for activity that fills the clock. Direct your effort into the actions that matter most, and you will see your life rise. Progress is the only honest measure of a day well lived. Number 3, prove your seriousness by results that speak for you. People judge how serious you are, not by your words, but by what you produce. You can talk about your goals all day. They can tell people how committed you are. You can post about discipline and dedication, but none of it matters if you have nothing to show for it. Results are the only real evidence of seriousness. They are the proof that you mean what you say. They are the difference between someone who is respected and someone who is ignored. When you want to prove your seriousness, you cannot rely on promises. Promises are cheap. Everyone makes them. You cannot rely on intentions either, because intentions never left a mark on the world. What speaks for you is the work you finish, the goals you accomplish, the progress you can point to. That is what shows people that you are not just interested in success, but committed to it. And more importantly, that is what shows you deep inside that you are not just talking, you are building. Think about how quickly people lose trust in someone who says one thing and does another. If you announce you're going to start a new habit, build a business, or change your life, people may listen once or twice. But if time goes by and you have no results, their belief in you fades. They see your words as noise. On the other hand, when you quietly focus on producing, when you bring visible progress to the table, even those who doubted you start paying attention. They can't argue with results. They may not like you, they may not agree with you, but they cannot deny what you've achieved. Results are the universal language of seriousness. You can come from any background. You can face any challenge. But when you deliver proof, people respect you. They see that you don't hide behind excuses, and you don't stop at good intentions. They see that you finish what you start. That's what makes people take you seriously. That's also what makes you take yourself seriously. Because when you look at your life and see results piling up, you know you're living with purpose instead of wasting time. Seriousness must first be proven to yourself before it can be proven to anyone else. You cannot trick yourself forever with empty talk. When you set a goal and achieve it, even a small one, you send a signal to yourself that you can be trusted. Your self-respect grows. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wishes and start seeing yourself as someone who delivers. That inner belief is powerful because it builds confidence. Confidence is not born out of saying you're confident. It is born out of repeatedly proving to yourself that you can be counted on. To live this way, you must create a standard for yourself, that excuses are not allowed and results are not optional. This means you stop saying, "I'll try." You stop explaining why things didn't work. You stop leaning on intentions as if they are accomplished. Instead, you focus on clear evidence. Did I finish it or not? Did I produce something real or not? Did I move forward or not? That's the test, and you must hold yourself accountable to that test every single day. Proving your seriousness by results requires focus. You cannot scatter your energy across endless distractions and expect meaningful proof at the end of the day. You need to choose what matters and commit deeply to it. Seriousness shows up when you shut out the noise and put your hands and mind to work on the task in front of you until it's done. People who are serious do not need to announce it. Their results announce it for them. This principle applies to every area of life. In your career, seriousness is not shown by how long you've been talking about a promotion or a business idea. It is shown by the skills you built, the projects you finished, the growth you can demonstrate. In your health, seriousness is not proven by saying you want to get fit. It's proven by your body, your strength, your endurance. The change is visible in your lifestyle. In your relationships, seriousness is not spoken in words. It's proven by the consistency of your actions, the trust you build, the way you show up for others. Results have another power. They silence critics. Everyone faces doubt and criticism. If you're serious about doing something meaningful, expect people to question you. Some may mock you. Some may wait for you to fail. But once your results appear, the criticism loses weight. You don't need to argue back. You don't need to convince anyone. Others do the speaking for you. They are louder than arguments and stronger than opinions. This is why it's so important to value results over appearance. Many people want to look serious without being serious. They want to talk about their plans so others think highly of them. They want to post about their goals so they look motivated. But looking serious is worthless if it's not backed up. If you want real respect, don't worry about how it looks. Worry about what you can prove. Let your work do the talking. You have to be honest with yourself here. Look at your life right now. What results can you point to that know your seriousness? If the answer is little or nothing, then it's time to stop convincing yourself with empty talk. It's time to demand visible proof. That proof doesn't need to be grand it could be a consistent streak of small wins. But those wins must be real. They must be measurable. They must move you forward. When you gather enough of them, they become undeniable. One of the strongest ways to stay serious is to set clear markers of progress. Define what results will prove you're on track. Don't just say, I want to get better. Say, I want to read 10 books in 3 months and apply one lesson from each. Don't just say, I want to save money. Say, I will save $200 this month and show it in my account. Don't just say, I want to grow stronger. Say, I will add 20 pounds to my lift in 6 weeks. Concrete results keep you honest. They keep you focused. They separate serious action from empty intention. Bills also build momentum. The more proof you create, the more serious you become. Seriousness is not something you declare once. It is something you prove day after day. Each result makes it easier to achieve the next. Each achievement strengthens your belief in your own seriousness. Over time, you no longer need to convince anyone of anything. Your record speaks for itself. People see your results, and they know who you are. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone else to measure seriousness. The only competition is between your words and your action. If your words outweigh your results, then your seriousness is weak. If your results outweigh your words, then your seriousness is strong. That's the balance to aim for. Fewer promises, more proof. Fewer explanations, more evidence. Fewer intentions, more accomplishment. The reward of living this way is immense. You gain credibility with others because they can count on you. You gain pride in yourself because you can trust yourself. You gain freedom because results give you options and opportunities that excuses never can. And above all, you gain peace of mind because you know your life is not wasted on empty talk. It is filled with proof that you lived with seriousness. So decide today that you will no longer try to prove your seriousness with talk, appearances, or intention. Decide that you will prove it only through results. Decide that from now on, you will demand from yourself the evidence that you are moving forward. Because results are the only voice that never lies, the only proof that never fades, and the only way the world will ever know how serious you truly are. Number 4, stop lying to yourself and face real responsibility. The easiest person to lie to is yourself. You know exactly what to say to soften the truth. You know how to twist the story in your head to make it sound less painful. And you know how to avoid looking at the reality that stares right at you. But the problem with lying to yourself is that it never solves anything. It only delays the moment when you have to face the truth. And the longer you delay, the more damage it does. If you want to grow, if you want to move forward, you have to stop telling yourself comforting lies and start carrying the weight of responsibility. Responsibility is hard because it puts the mirror right in front of you. It demands you to accept that your choices, your actions, and your habits built the life you live right now. Maybe you don't like the way things are, but you had a hand in creating it. That's not an easy thing to accept, but it's the only way forward. If you blame everything outside yourself, you cut off your own power to change. But the moment you say, "This is my life, and I shaped it," you open the door to shaping it different. Many people hide from this truth by lying to themselves in small ways. They say, "I don't have time," when in reality they waste hours every day. They say, "I'll start tomorrow," when they know tomorrow will bring the same excuses. They say, "I tried everything," when deep down they know they gave up too soon. These lies keep them comfortable, but comfort is not growth. Comfort is a trap that leaves you stuck in the same patterns year after year. The only escape is honesty. You must strip away every excuse and admit what is really going on. Facing responsibility is like switching on a light in a dark room. At first, it hurts your eyes. You don't want to see the mess. But once you see it, you can start cleaning. Without the light, you would live in the dark forever, pretending the mess doesn't exist. That's what lying to yourself does. It keeps you in the dark. Responsibility shines the light so you can see clearly and take action. When you face the truth, you may feel anger at yourself for the time you wasted or the opportunities you ignored. You may feel disappointment when you realize how many times you settled for less. But that discomfort is good. It means you're awake. It means you've stopped hiding behind lies and started dealing with reality. And reality, no matter how harsh, is always better than illusion. Because reality can be changed, illusion cannot. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that has ever gone wrong. Life throws challenges that are not always your fault. But here's the difference. Even if it isn't your fault, it is still your responsibility. If you were handed a bad situation, you didn't choose it. But you still have to decide how you respond. Blaming won't fix it. Complaining won't move it. Only responsibility gives you the strength to do something about it. When you lie to yourself, you're choosing weakness. You're letting yourself believe that you have no control. When you accept responsibility, you're choosing strength. You're saying, "I may not control everything, but I control myself. I control my actions. I control my choices." That shift is where growth begins. That shift is the mark of maturity. Think about the people you respect the most. They are not the ones who always had it easy. They're the ones who stood up, admitted their mistakes, and worked to correct them. They didn't waste time defending themselves with lies. They admitted the truth, and that honesty gave them power. You can do the same. You can stop pretending and start building. The longer you lie yourself, the more you waste your potential. Every day you avoid responsibility is a day you could have used to change. Every excuse you tell yourself is a wall between you and progress. Imagine where you could be if you stopped lying and started taking full ownership of your life a year ago. Now realize that a year from now, you could look back with the same regret or with pride, depending on what you decide today. Responsibility is not a burden that destroys you, it's the weight that builds you. When you accept responsibility, you stop feeling like life is happening to you and start feeling like life is happening because of you. That mindset makes you stronger. It gives you the courage to take risks, the discipline to stay consistent, and the resilience to push through setbacks. Without responsibility, you stay fragile. With responsibility, become unshakable. Ask yourself hard questions. Are you where you want to be financially? If not, stop lying about why. Admit whether you've been lazy, undisciplined, or careless. Are you where you want to be physically? If not, stop blaming your schedule or your genetics. Admit whether you've avoided the discipline of health. Are you where you want to be emotional? If not, stop pretending others are fully to blame. Admit whether you've failed to set boundaries, forgive, or grow. Every area of life demands honesty if you want to change it. Taking responsibility doesn't happen once. It's a daily decision. Every morning you must choose to see the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. You choose to own your decisions, even when they don't go well. You must choose to act on what you can control, even when it's difficult. Over time, this habit reshapes your character. You stop running from reality and start running toward improvement. And something powerful happens. When you stop lying to yourself, you gain respect for yourself. You can look in the mirror without flinching. You know you're not hiding. You know you're not pretending. That respect gives you confidence, because you're no longer living a double life. You're no longer one person in your words and another in your actions. You are whole, you are real, and nothing is stronger than that. You don't need to announce this change to anyone. People will notice. They will see you accepting responsibility instead of making excuses. They will see you working on your flaws instead of denying them. They will see you improving instead of pretending. Over time, that example is more powerful than any speech. It shows others that real change begins with honesty. So the challenge is clear. Stop lying to yourself. Stop hiding behind excuses, false stories, and comforting illusions. Look at your life exactly as it is, and take full responsibility for it. Yes, it will hurt at first. Yes, it'll make you uncomfortable. But discomfort is the doorway to growth. Once you accept responsibility, you gain the power to change. Without it, you stay stuck forever. The choice is yours. You can keep protecting yourself with lies that feel good but keep you weak. Or you can embrace the truth that feels heavy but makes you strong. If you want to change your life, you cannot afford to keep lying to yourself. Face reality, take ownership, and act. That's where your freedom begins. That's where your future begins. That's where real life begins. Number 5, train your focus on action, not on false reasons. Most people spend their energy justifying why they cannot act, instead of putting that same energy into action. They create reasons in their head that sound logical, but in reality, those reasons are only walls they build to avoid doing the difficult thing. If you want to grow, you must train yourself to direct your focus toward action and not toward the false reasons that hold you back. Action moves you. Reasons keep you stuck. Action builds your life. Reasons defend your comfort. The choice between the two determines whether you progress or stay exactly where you are. False reasons usually appear when the mind is uncomfortable. You know you should start something important, but it feels hard, uncertain, or risky. So your mind comes up with reasons to delay. It says you don't have enough time, even though you waste hours on distractions. It says you don't have enough knowledge, even though you could learn by starting. It says the timing is not right, even though waiting another year will not make it easier. These reasons feel convincing in the moment, but they are not true. They are only barriers you place in front of yourself. Training your focus on action requires a shift in how you respond when those reasons appear. Instead of listening to them, you must act immediately, even in a small way. If your mind says you don't have time, take 5 minutes and start anyway. If your mind says you don't know enough, begin with the little you know and learn as you go. If your mind says it's not the right moment, remind yourself that the right moment will never arrive. So now is the only option. Each time you override the excuse with action, you weaken the habit of false reasoning and strengthen the habit of doing. Action has one advantage over reasons. It produces results. No matter how small the action, it leaves you with something real. If you study 1 page, you learn something. If you save $1, you build the habit of saving. If you exercise for 10 minutes, your body benefits. Reasons produce nothing. They only give you a story to tell yourself about why you stayed the same. If you want progress, you need proof, and only action gives you proof. You also have to understand that false reasons will never disappear completely. They will always whisper in your mind. The key is not to eliminate them, but to stop believing them. You must train yourself to recognize them for what they are. When the thought comes, I don't have the energy today, you must see it as a false reason trying to keep you lazy. When the thought comes, I'll wait until I'm ready, you must see it as fear disguised as logic. The moment you label it as a false reason, you take away its power, then you replace it with action. Another important step is to set clear priorities. When you don't know what matters most, you give space for false reasons to take control. But when you have clear goals, you can ask yourself every day, does this action move me closer to my goal? If the answer is yes, you act. If the answer is no, you don't waste your time. This clarity keeps your focus on progress and leaves less room for distractions. Training your focus also means building discipline in small daily choices. The mind is quick to look for ways out, so you must build the habit of staying in. When you feel like quitting, stay 5 more minutes. When you feel like delaying, start with a small piece. When you feel like excusing, Take one step anyway. Discipline is not about never feeling resistance. It is about acting despite resistance. And the more you practice this, the stronger your ability becomes to stay focused on action. You will notice that people who achieve consistently are not those who never feel doubt or fear. They are those who act in spite of them. They train their focus to move toward action automatically. When others are trapped in endless reasoning, they are already moving forward. That is why they change faster, why they grow stronger, why they achieve. You can have the same advantage if you commit to training your own focus the same way. Think of how much time is wasted by false reasons. Years lost debating whether to start. Days wasted justifying why it isn't possible. Years gone by waiting for a perfect situation that never comes. Meanwhile, someone else with fewer resources but more discipline takes action and changes their life. The difference is not talent, luck, or opportunity. The difference is focus. One person focused on excuses, the other focused on action. That single choice to their future. If you want to change your life, you cannot allow false reasons to rule your decisions. You have to catch them the moment they appear and shut them down with action. Over time, your mind will adapt. Instead of automatically producing excuses, it will begin producing solutions. Instead of saying, "I can't," it will start asking, "How can I?" That shift transforms not only your behavior, but your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who hesitates and start seeing yourself as someone who acts. Action also builds trust with yourself. Every time you act, even in a small way, you prove to yourself that you are reliable. You said you would do it, and you did. That trust grows over time and becomes the foundation of self-confidence. On the other hand, when you keep giving in to false reasons, you weaken your own trust. You know deep down that you cannot count on yourself, and that doubt eats away at your confidence. If you want to walk tall, if you want to respect yourself, you must become the kind of person who acts, not the kind of person who reasons their way out. You may not always feel motivated, but motivation is not what changes your life. Action is. You may not always feel certain, but certainty is not what changes your life. Action is. Train yourself to remember this truth every single day. Whenever you face the choice between taking a step or giving a reason, always choose the step. Even the smallest step forward is more valuable than the most convincing excuse. Over time, this way of living reshapes everything. Your goals stop being distant dreams and start becoming visible achievements. Your days stop being filled with wasted hours and start being filled with progress. Your mind stops working against you and starts working for you. And your life stops being controlled by false reasons and starts being built by real action. So decide today that you will train your focus carefully. Each time a reason appears that tries to stop you, call it what it is and act anyway. Build the habit of choosing action until it becomes your natural response. Because in the end, your future will not be built by the reasons you gave, but by the actions you took. Number 6. Replace self-pity with steps that move you forward. Self-pity is one of the most dangerous habits a person can fall into because it feels natural and even justified. When things go wrong, when life feels unfair, when you face loss, failure, or rejection, your mind tells you that you have every right to feel sorry for yourself. And maybe you do for a moment. But staying in self-pity is poison. It keeps you stuck in the past. It weakens your energy. It blinds you from the opportunities in front of you. If you want to create a better life, you must replace self-pity with steps that move you forward. The problem with self-pity is that it convinces you to believe that your situation is fixed and that nothing can be done. It whispers that your efforts won't matter, that the world is against you, that others have it easier. Once you give in to that thinking, you stop trying. And when you stop trying, nothing changes. That's why so many people spend years in the same problems. They spend more time telling themselves how unfair it is than they do taking steps to fix it. Self-pity never solved a problem. Only action does. When you feel sorry for yourself, you are giving power away. You are putting yourself in the role of a victim, and victims cannot lead their lives. Victims wait for someone else to fix things for them, but no one is coming to live your life for you. No one is coming to carry your responsibilities. The sooner you accept that, the sooner you regain power. Every time you refuse to sink into self-pity and instead take even the smallest step, you remind yourself that you are not powerless. You remind yourself that you can influence your own future. It's important to understand that feeling pain is not weakness. Struggles are real. Disappointments hurt. It is human to feel those emotions. The difference is in what you do next. Some people stay in that pain and feed it with pity. Others feel the pain, then turn it into fuel by taking action. The first group stays stuck. The second group grows. Your choice is whether you will sit in your feelings or move through them with steps that carry you closer to a solution. Replacing self-pity begins with honesty. You must admit to yourself when you are sitting in it. That's not easy, because self-pity can disguise itself as reflection or rest. But if you are repeating the same sad story in your head, if you are waiting for others to notice your struggles and rescue you, you are stuck in self-pity. Once you recognize it, you can break it. Awareness is the first step, because you cannot change what you don't admit. The next step is to shift your focus from what you cannot control to what you can. Self-pity always fixates on the uncontrollable. What others did, what you lost, what should have been different. Action focuses on what you can actually do. What choices are available now? What skills you can build? What effort you can apply today? That shift immediately gives you energy, because you move from helplessness to empower. Even small steps like making a plan, reaching out for help, or working on one piece of the problem create momentum. Each step matters. You don't have to solve everything at once. You only need to prove to yourself that you are moving forward. That proof is what breaks the grip of self-pity. The moment you take responsibility for one action, you feel stronger. The more you repeat it, the less attractive self-pity becomes. Why? Because progress feels better than pity. Progress gives you hope. Progress shows you that your effort counts. Progress reminds you that you are capable. People who achieve great things are not those who never felt discouraged. They are those who refused to let discouragement trap them in self-pity. They felt the same emotions everyone else feels, but they refused to sit in them. They stood up, even when it was painful, and they moved forward. You can do the same. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need ideal conditions. You just need the courage to replace feeling sorry for yourself with doing something constructive. Think of the time you've already lost. Self-pity. Hours spent complaining. Days spent replaying old disappointments. Weeks waiting for sympathy instead of progress. None of that improved your life. None of that made the problem smaller. And if you keep repeating it, nothing will change. Now imagine if you had used that time to take steps forward, even small one. Where would you be today? You might not be finished, but you would be further. That's the difference action makes. Another important truth is that self-pity makes you less attractive to others. People may comfort you for a while, but over time they lose respect for someone who refuses to stand up. They admire resilience. They admire strength. They admire those who face difficulty and still move forward. If you want stronger relationships, if you want respect from others, you cannot cling to self-pity. You must show by your actions that you will not surrender to it. Replacing self-pity also requires discipline with your thought. You must catch yourself when you start sinking into the same negative story. Instead of repeating "why me," ask, "What can I do now?" Instead of saying "I'll never recover," say, "What step will move me closer to recovery?" That change in language matters, because your thoughts shape your emotions, and your emotions drive your actions. Guard your thoughts carefully, because they can either chain you to self-pity or free you into us. It's also helpful to set small daily standards that keep you moving. Decide that no matter how you feel, you will take at least one action that moves you forward each day. It could be working on a goal, fixing a problem, or building a habit. The action doesn't have to be big. What matters is consistent. Every action is proof that you are stronger than your feelings. Every action weakens the pull of self-pity and strengthens your willpower. The reward of living this way is that you build resilience. You become the kind of person who doesn't crumble at setback. You become the kind of person who can be trusted with responsibility. You become someone who inspires others, not by your words, but by your actions. People notice when you refuse to indulge in pity and instead keep moving forward. They admire it, and they may even follow your example. But more important than what others see is what you see in yourself. You will see a person who is stronger, wiser, and more capable than you once believed. So remember this truth. Self-pity will never change your life. It will only keep you trapped. The only thing that will move you forward is action. Replace every moment of self-pity with a step. Replace every excuse with an effort. Replace every complaint with a solution. The more you do this, the more your life will change. Because life rewards those who move, not those who wait for sympathy. Number 7, judge yourself by what you finish, not what you plan. The world is full of people with big plans. They talk about what they want to do, what they will build, how they will change their lives, but very few actually finish what they start. That's why if you want to know how serious you are about your life, you cannot judge yourself by the size of your plans. You must judge yourself by what you finish. Plans mean nothing if they remain on paper. Ideas mean nothing if they never reach completion. Your results are the only true evidence of your commitment. Planning is easy. Anyone can sit down and write goals, dream about the future, and outline steps. That takes little effort. The hard part is execution. The hard part is staying consistent when it gets boring, sticking to the schedule when distractions call, pushing through resistance when doubt appears. That is why most plans fail. It is not because the plan was bad, but because the discipline to finish was missing. You must be different. You must value finished work over promised work. You must value outcomes over intentions. Look at your own life. How many plans have you made? How many resolutions have you set? How many goals did you say you would achieve? Now ask yourself, how many did you actually finish? That gap between what you planned and what you finished is the gap between talking and living. And that gap is where most people waste their lives. If you want to close that gap, you must stop patting yourself on the back for planning and start holding yourself accountable for finishing. The truth is, nobody respects unfinished plans. You can tell your friends you're writing a book, but if years go by and there's no book, your words lose weight. You can say you're starting a business, but if nothing ever opens, your credibility fades. You can promise yourself you'll get fit, but if months pass without progress, your own trust in yourself breaks down. Plans might impress for a moment, but only results last. Only finished work builds trust, both with others and with yourself. Finishing what you start builds character in a way nothing else can. It teaches discipline, because you must keep going even when you don't feel like it. It teaches patience, because results often come slowly. It teaches resilience, because obstacles always appear. And most importantly, it builds confidence, because each time you finish, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Confidence doesn't come from dreaming big. It comes from completing small steps over and over again until the bigger goals are reached. When you live this way, your whole mindset changes. You stop seeking praise for ideas. You stop bragging about what you're going to do. Instead, you let your finished work do the speaking. You gain a quiet strength because you know you can be trusted. You know your word means something. And when you look back on your life, you don't see broken promises. You see evidence of progress. That evidence is priceless because it shapes your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who quits. You see yourself as someone who follows through. This principle applies everywhere. In your career, don't count the projects you started. Count the ones you completed. In your education, don't count the books you meant to read. Count the ones you studied until you understood. In your health, don't count the diets you planned. Count the days you actually followed through. In your personal growth, don't count the goals you set. Count the ones you achieved. This simple shift keeps you honest. It prevents you from living in fantasy and forces you to face reality. It's easy to overvalue planning because it feels productive. Writing a list of goals gives you a sense of accomplishment. Telling others about your plans gives you the illusion of progress. But illusions don't build your future. What builds your future is the work you do day after day, the tasks you complete, the promises you honor. If you want a better life, stop feeding on the empty calories of planning and start demanding the solid food of finishing. One way to build this habit is to start small and finish everything you commit to. If you say you will clean your room, finish it complete. If you say you will exercise for 20 minutes, finish all 20 minutes. If you say you will save a set amount of money, finish that promise by actually saving it. Don't allow yourself the habit of leaving things half done. Each time you finish, no matter how small, you strengthen your discipline. Each time you quit early, you weaken it. Over time, those small habits define whether you become someone who finishes or someone who quits. Finishing also requires cutting out distractions that drain your focus. Many people start strong but get pulled away by things that don't matter. They lose momentum and then abandon the plan altogether. To finish, you must guard your attention. You must be ruthless with your time. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to finish? If the answer is no, it doesn't deserve your focus. People who finish are not necessarily smarter or luckier. They are simply more disciplined about removing what doesn't matter. Another key is to stop chasing perfection. Many people never finish because they want everything to be flawless. They keep editing, adjusting, delaying, until the plan collapses under its own weight. Finishing is more important than perfection. A completed imperfect project is worth more than a perfect idea sitting unfinished. If you want to be respected, if you want to build momentum, you must finish what you start. Even if it's not perfect, you can improve as you go, but you can't improve something that doesn't exist. Judging yourself by what you finish also keeps your ego in check. Ego loves to boast about intentions. It loves to impress others with future plans. But ego hates accountability. By demanding finished work from yourself, you silence your ego. You replace empty pride with real achievement. That is how you grow stronger. That is how you live with integrity. When you make this your standard, life becomes clearer. Each day you can ask yourself, what did I finish today? Did I complete something meaningful? Or did I just stay busy? That one question keeps you focused on outcomes instead of distraction. It keeps you honest about whether you are moving forward. And it keeps you from falling into the trap of mistaking motion for progress. At the end of your life, you won't be remembered for what you planned. Nobody will talk about the ideas you had but never executed. They will remember what you finished. They will see the proof you left behind. That is why you must live in a way that produces results. Plans inspire hope. Finished work creates legacy. So hold yourself to this standard. Judge yourself not by what you said you would do, not by what you intended, not by what you wrote on paper, but by what you actually finished. Every time you complete something, you gain strength. Every time you abandon something, you lose it. Choose the path that makes you stronger. Choose the discipline of finishing. Because in the end, only finished work has value. And only finished work will speak for you long after the plans have been forgotten. Number 8. Cut the habit of blaming and start owning outcomes. Blaming is one of the most destructive habits a person can hold on to, because it removes responsibility from where it belongs. The moment you point the finger at others, you give away your control. You tell yourself that your situation is shaped by someone else's choices, someone else's mistakes, or someone else's power. And while that story may feel comforting for a moment, it locks you in a prison of helplessness. If you want to grow, if you want to take command of your future, you must cut the habit of blaming and start owning your outcomes. Blaming always feels easier than accepting responsibility. It allows you to avoid the pain of admitting your own role in what happened. You can say the economy is unfair, your boss doesn't recognize you, your family held you back, or your background limited you. These explanations might carry some truth, but they are not the whole truth. Life does present challenges. Life is not always fair, but blaming does nothing to change those challenges. It only leaves you stuck where you are. Responsibility, on the other hand, empowers you to do something about it. When you own your outcomes, you stand up and say, I may not control everything, but I control how I respond. I control how I act. I control the direction I take from here. That decision changes everything. It shifts your energy from waiting and complaining to acting and improving. The moment you stop blaming, you stop wasting time on what you cannot control and start investing in what you can. That shift is where progress begins. Think about how often you hear people explain their failures by pointing outward. They say, I didn't succeed because no one helped me, or I couldn't achieve my goals because the system is against me. Some of those factors may be real, but clinging to them as the only reason keeps a person powerless. Meanwhile, others in the same situation find ways to rise. They refuse to use blame as their excuse. They choose to own their path. They focus on what they can build with what they have. And as a result, they move forward while the blamers stay stuck. Blame is attractive because it removes guilt. It lets you feel right, even when you haven't produced results. But in the long run, it destroys your self-respect. Deep down, you know you are capable of more, and blaming others denies that capability. It convinces you to settle for less than you are able to achieve. Over time, that eats away at your confidence. You stop believing you can change anything because you've trained yourself to believe someone else is in control. That is why blame is dangerous. It doesn't just block action, it rewires how you see yourself. Owning outcomes builds the opposite effect. Every time you accept responsibility for the results in your life, you strengthen your confidence. Even if the result wasn't what you wanted, owning it teaches you something valuable. You learn what you could do differently next time. You gain insight into your own decision, and you grow stronger because you know you are in the driver's seat. That kind of mindset keeps you improving, keeps you disciplined, and keeps you focused on solutions. Responsibility is not about punishing yourself. It's about empowering yourself. When you say, "This is my outcome and I created it," you are not condemning yourself. You are freeing yourself. Because if you created it, you can also create something better. If your decisions built your current reality, then new decisions can build a new reality. That power belongs to you, but only if you stop giving it away through blame. Look at your own life honestly. Where are you blaming right now? Are you blaming your circumstances for not being further ahead? Are you blaming your relationships for holding you back? Are you blaming your past for limiting your future? Every area where you blame is an area where you've surrendered motor. And every area where you take responsibility is an area where you can grow. If you want your life to change, you must reclaim that power by owning the outcomes, both good and bad. It takes courage to do this. It is not easy to look at failure and say, "I had a role in this." It is not easy to look at disappointment and admit, "I could have done better." But courage is what builds strength. Each time you face reality instead of avoiding it, you build resilience. Each time you choose ownership over blame, you prove to yourself that you are capable of handling life head-on. That proof is worth more than any excuse you could make. People who own their outcomes inspire respect. They don't waste time pointing fingers. They stand up and take responsibility. And because of that, others trust them. They are seen as leaders, as people of integrity, as individuals who can be counted on. Compare that to those who constantly blame. Over time, they lose credibility. No one takes them seriously because everyone knows they will never accept responsibility. If you want respect from others and from yourself, cut the habit of blaming and replace it with ownership. Ownership also accelerates growth. When you blame, you stay stuck in the same mistakes because you never examine your own actions. When you take responsibility, you learn quickly. You analyze what went wrong. You make changes, and you try again. Over time, that process makes you more skilled, more disciplined, and more effective. Blame keeps you blind. Responsibility opens your eyes. It's also worth realizing that blame is addict. Once you start, it becomes easier to do it again. You train yourself to always find someone else to fault. Before long, blaming becomes your default response. That habit will destroy your potential because it guarantees you will never look in the mirror. The only way to break it is to refuse it every time it shows up. Each time you feel the urge to blame, stop and ask, what is my role in this? What can I do differently? That question breaks the cycle. If you want to move ahead in life, replace every blame with an action. If something goes wrong, don't waste hours pointing fingers. Spend those hours fixing it. If someone fails you, don't stay bitter. Decide how you will adapt. If life is unfair, don't collapse. Find out what you can do in spite of it. That mindset separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Owning your outcomes does not mean everything will go perfectly. It means you take responsibility no matter the result. If you succeed, you own it. If you fail, you own it. Both are yours, and both can teach you. That level of ownership gives you consistency, because your sense of control no longer depends on outside circumstances. It depends only on your decision. That consistency is what allows you to keep progressing while others are trapped in blame. At the end of the day, You must decide how you want to live. Do you want to spend your life giving your power away by blaming others? Or do you want to live with strength by owning your outcome? One path leads to weakness, frustration, and regret. The other path leads to growth, respect, and freedom. The choice is yours. But if you truly want to change your life, there is only one option. Cut the habit of blaming and take full ownership of everything you create. Number 9, choose effort over comfort and watch life start shifting. Life constantly presents you with two choices. One is comfort, the other is effort. Comfort is always more tempting in the moment because it feels safe, it feels easy, and it asks for nothing. Effort, on the other hand, feels heavy, it feels demanding, and it requires discipline. But here is the truth you must face. Comfort never changes anything. Effort does. Every shift in your life, every improvement you desire, every result you want, comes from choosing effort over comfort. The path may not feel good at first, but it is the only path that takes you somewhere new. Comfort keeps you exactly where you are. If you always pick comfort, your life tomorrow will look the same as today. Nothing will grow, nothing will expand, nothing will improve. Comfort is repetition, the same routines, the same habits, the same results. It gives you temporary relief, but long-term regret. Effort is the opposite. Effort may stretch you, it may tire you, but it produces growth. It creates new skills, stronger habits, and lasting results. You must learn to see comfort as the enemy of progress and effort as the price of transformation. When you choose effort, you're making a trade. You're trading short-term ease for long-term reward. You're saying no to the immediate pleasure of staying comfortable, and yes to the deeper satisfaction of progress. Every time you pick effort, you put an investment into your future. Every workout you push through, every hour you study, every task you complete, despite not wanting to, these are deposits into the life you want to build. Comfort makes no deposits. Comfort only spends your future to make you feel good right now. The problem is most people don't realize how often they choose comfort. They wake up and choose more sleep instead of getting up to work on their goals. They choose entertainment instead of discipline. They choose putting things off instead of facing them directly. Each choice seems small, but added together they shape a life of wasted potential. Meanwhile, those who choose effort consistently build lives that others admire, not because they were luckier or more talented, but because they trained themselves to say yes to effort and no to comfort. Effort builds strength. The more you practice it, the stronger you become. At first, it feels difficult because your body and mind are not used to it. But each time you endure, you increase your tolerance. What once felt hard begins to feel normal. And that's how you shift your life. Effort becomes your default. Discipline becomes your standard. You no longer crumble when something is uncomfortable. You face it because you trained yourself to push through. Comfort, on the other hand, weakens you. The more you choose it, the softer you become. Each time you avoid effort, you reduce your ability to handle challenge. You become fragile, unprepared for life's demands. Then when real difficulty comes, you collapse, because you never built the resilience effort provides. That's why comfort feels good today but costs you tomorrow. Effort feels hard today but rewards you tomorrow. The real shift happens when you stop seeing effort as punishment and start seeing it as privilege. Effort is what builds you. Effort is what proves your seriousness. Effort is what separates those who talk about change from those who actually live it. If you reframe effort as the tool that transforms your life, you stop running from it. You start embracing it, and then you embrace effort consistently. Change is no longer optional. It becomes inevitable. Think about any area of your life you want to improve. If you want better health, the price is effort and exercise and nutrition. If you want financial stability, the price is effort and discipline and smart decision. If you want stronger relationships, the price is effort and communication, patience, and consistency. There's no shortcut around this. Comfort will never give you these things. Only effort will. And when you accept that, you stop wasting time looking for easy ways and start putting energy into the real work. Choosing effort does not mean making your life miserable. It means aligning your choices with your goal. It means asking yourself in every moment, does this action move me closer to where I want to be? Or does it only make me feel good right now? If it only serves the present moment, without serving the future, it is comfort. If it challenges you, stretches you, and moves you forward, it is effort. That's the test. And the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to recognize the difference. Every life that inspires you is proof of effort. Behind every achievement is a person who chose effort again and again when comfort was available. Behind every strong character is a series of decisions to face difficulty instead of hiding from it. This is not just about discipline. It is about identity. Each time you choose effort, you formorse the identity of someone who grows, someone who builds, someone who refuses to settle. Each time you choose comfort, you reinforce the identity of someone who avoids, someone who delays, someone who stays stuck. Your choices write your identity, and your identity shapes your future. If you want to see your life shift, stop asking how you can make it easy. Start asking how you can make yourself stronger. Effort is the training ground for strength. When you push yourself to do the things you don't want to do but know you need to, you become the kind of person who can handle life. And once you can handle life, opportunities open up, confidence, respect follows, and change becomes visible. Not just to you, but to everyone around you. It's important to understand that choosing effort is not about dramatic leaps. It's about consistent small choices. Waking up on time when you'd rather sleep in. Finishing the task when you'd rather quit early. Saying no to temptation when you'd rather indulge. These choices may seem small in the moment, but compounded daily, they completely transform your life. Over time, effort becomes momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. So when you face your next decision, pause and ask yourself, am I choosing comfort or am I choosing effort? The answer will predict your future. If you choose comfort, expect to stay the same. If you choose effort, expect to grow. And if you make that choice enough times, your life will shift in ways you never imagined. The secret is not hidden, it's right in front of you. Comfort is easy but empty. Effort is hard but rewarding. If you want to change your life, choose effort again and again, day after day, until effort becomes who you are and the life you live becomes the proof of that choice. Number 10. Push beyond doubt and make your results undeniable today. Doubt is something every person faces. It whispers that you're not ready, that you don't have what it takes, that others are better equipped, and that failure is waiting for you. It doesn't matter how strong you are or how much potential you carry. Doubt will always try to slow you down. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck is not the absence of doubt, but the decision to push beyond it. If you want your life to change, if you want your goals to turn into real results, you must refuse to let doubt control your actions. You must take steps that make your results undeniable today. Doubt thrives on hesitation. The more you hesitate, the louder it becomes. You sit and think about everything that could go wrong, and the voice of doubt grows stronger. You picture failure, and you paralyze yourself before even starting. That's why the only cure for doubt is movement. You cannot argue with it in your head. You cannot debate with it and expect to win. The way you silence doubt is by acting in spite of it. Each time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you weaken its grip. Each time you deliver proof through results, you take away its power. Your life is not going to change by theory. It will not change by waiting until you feel ready. It will not change by hoping your confidence suddenly appears. Confidence does not come first. Action does. Confidence is built by showing yourself that you can do what you said you would do. The moment you see progress, the moment you produce results, you gain evidence that you are capable, and that evidence becomes stronger than any doubt. The trap most people fall into is waiting for perfect certainty before acting. They believe that once they feel sure, they will start. But certainty never comes before action. If you wait until doubt is gone, you will never begin. You must accept that doubt will be present, and you must move anyway. That's how you train yourself to grow. Doubt becomes weaker only after you prove it wrong with undeniable results. Think about how doubt has held you back in the past. Maybe you wanted to start a project, but convinced yourself you weren't skilled enough. Maybe you wanted to pursue a new opportunity, but told yourself it wasn't the right time. Maybe you wanted to change your habits, but thought it was too late. Each of those thoughts kept you from moving. But imagine if you had ignored the doubt and acted anyway. You might not have done everything perfectly, but you would have progress today instead of regret. That's the price of listening to doubt. Time lost, chances missed, growth delayed. If you want to push beyond doubt, you need to create undeniable proof as quickly as possible. That means stop waiting for the big win and focus on producing small results today. If you want to write, finish a page. If you want to get fit, complete a workout. If you want to improve financially, save something right now. Each of these steps may seem small, but they are visible proof, and proof is the enemy of doubt. The more proof you gather, the less room doubt has to breathe. Results speak louder than fears. You can't argue with them. When you see money saved in your account, it silences the thought that you can't control your finances. When you see strength building in your body, it silences the thought that you'll never get fit. When you see progress in your work, it silences the thought that you're not capable. Doubt feeds on inaction. It starves when you create proof. That's why you must act now, not later. The sooner you produce results, the sooner you break free from doubt's control. You also have to understand that doubt never truly disappears. Even successful people feel it. They feel it when starting something new, when facing risk, when stepping into the unknown. The difference is that they don't let it stop them. They've learned the habit of acting while doubt is present, and with each new result, their confidence grows stronger. This is the path you must take. Stop waiting for doubt to vanish. Accept it, then push beyond it with action. Pushing beyond doubt is not just about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about showing yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. Each time you achieve something despite the fear, you expand your belief in yourself. You begin to trust your own strength, and that trust changes how you approach everything in life. You no longer see obstacles as reasons to quit. You see them as challenges to overcome. You no longer see failure as permanent. You see it as part of progress. Every person who has built something meaningful had to fight through doubt. They did not start with certainty. They started with action. They collected small wins, built evidence, and created momentum. That momentum carried them through moments of fear. That momentum created undeniable results, and those results became the foundation for even greater achievements. If they had waited until they felt ready, they would still be waiting today. You must decide that your results will speak louder than your doubts. You must wake up each day with the determination to produce proof. Don't waste the day convincing yourself you'll try tomorrow. Don't waste hours listening to the inner voice that says you're not enough. Instead, do something that leaves no room for debate. Finish the task, complete the workout, make the call, build the habit. These results, no matter how small, are real, and real results cannot be denied. When you live this way, your entire life begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone trapped by fear. You start seeing yourself as someone who acts in spite of it. That identity is powerful. It makes you reliable to yourself and to others. It builds respect, it builds credibility, and it builds freedom. Because you know that nothing, not even doubt, can hold you back from producing results. So stop letting doubt decide your actions. Stop waiting for perfect conditions or perfect confidence. Start creating undeniable proof today. Push beyond the hesitation, beyond the fear, beyond the excuses. Act now, and let your results do the talking. Each result is a statement to yourself and to the world. I am capable. I am serious. I am moving forward. When you live this way, doubt loses its grip, and your results become the diz that no one can ignore. When this day ends, you'll remember one thing: whether you made excuses or whether you made results. Excuses will leave you in the same place tomorrow, but results will carry you forward. The choice is always yours, and no one can make it for you. If you want real growth, stop protecting your comfort and improving your effort. Ask yourself before you go, what result will I create today? that excuses can't erase. That one question can change how you live every day from now on. If this message spoke to you, don't let it end here. Come back, because each time you hear these truths, they will push you to do more, to grow stronger, and to take your life to the next level. Results are waiting. Make them undeniable, and never settle for less.